Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time of day you're viewing this. I am Big Bad Chad, and this is going to be a quick replay of Age of Empires 2. I say quick. We'll see how long it is. I'm playing here 1-on-1 versus a hard AI. I'm hoping to get some more replays done with players. Some involving like actual real human players. That'd be nice. Of Age of Empires 2 to go along with the Supcom series for entertainment purposes and viewing pleasure. But in the meantime, I thought I'd just demonstrate how I played against one of the hard players. Hard computers. Doesn't necessarily make me really good at the game. It makes me good at beating the AI, which is different from being good at the game. And you have to use different tactics against people, which I will hopefully demonstrate. Which I will demonstrate, in fact, in another replay I will put up later on. But, yeah, hopefully some people will find this amusing and entertaining. I know myself and my friends play against the AI quite a lot, so it might be helpful to pick up some tactics. More professional players will talk about build orders and things. I cannot promise to talk sensibly about them. So, I'm going to turn off Fog of War. And look at it from my perspective. We can turn that back on though. So this is all I can see at the beginning. Got my llamas, a bit slow to start on food, but hey ho, I'm building my 4 houses and I completely understand that is not an accepted build order, but I like it because it means I don't have to worry about getting housed for a little bit. He says literally getting housed for half a second. Getting a couple more on food, scouting around to find my resources, very important. I used to just hit auto scout and I think that's a bad habit. I think it's generally accepted as a bad habit, and I think a lot of players know it's a bad habit. So I'm scouring around my perimeter here just to sort of try to find a good wood line. I've picked this one here because it's at the edge of the map near the back. I enjoy that safety that your peasants get from farmers, peons, whatever they're called. Workers. Builder. Oh, they're farmers, because that's a dead llama. Aha, here we go. Villager. Vils, that's the technical term. I enjoy the extra safety of having them at the back rather than near the front, and I also like using terrain as wall elements. So yeah, as you can see, I'm going around here, still looking for extra llamas. I'm feeling a bit nervous about the fact I don't have any. Saw this outcrop, thought I'd investigate it a little bit more to try to find an edge to wall later. Found some more llamas there. Which is a relief. I've never actually once looked at the AI build order, so that might be interesting to see. He's already going for a boar. One of the tactics you can do is try to steal a boar from the AI. It's a bit risky, difficult, takes some effort. But they just build the 2 houses. They've got a lumber camp too. Don't really care about the forward wood line. They are right next to this. That's quite a vulnerable position. I'm fairly far back and defensively placed, so that's nice for me. As you can see, I like to get a large number of peasants on food. Let's have a look at vil counts, shall we? Can I deselect that? Oh, where's the button? There we go. He's ahead on villagers. I say it is ahead on villagers, but that's because I can't micro as fast as a computer, and I miss the instant speed queuing that it does not. Still churning out the vils. I've got 4 more llamas now, so that's nice. What am I aware of? Fog of War wise. So I've scouted this now. So I know I've got a thin avenue there, a fairly thin avenue there, and a couple of thin avenues up there. So that can easily be house walled, which I'll demonstrate later, getting my boar in, leaving my llamas up for later on. 4 on wood. I used to have a strict get 10 on food and then put people on wood, but now I like to go to 6 on food, get 4 on wood, then go up to 8 on food. More llamas down there, lovely. So I've got a fairly easily defensible position if I don't mine out all the wood around me, and with this thicket down here, it should be pretty safe to assume that I won't need to go into these wood lines for a while, and even if I do, I can start with this further back one. Berries there, quite nicely placed. Probably don't even have to mill them, although I think I do. Hey ho, life goes on. Some people scout with their llamas and sheep, and especially on small maps like this, it would be exceptionally useful to do so. But I have not. 2 relics there, right in my base, really helpful. I like to go for relics early. The earlier you get relics, the more gold they give you over the course of a game, so it seems pretty simple from that breakdown. But doesn't always have to be. Yeah, that was a bad pause there. I was trying to keep them busy pointlessly when I could have been saving this life, so I managed to interrupt the boar, but I also interrupt the pathing of my peasant, and he goes down tragically before I can get in the get him into the safety of the town centre. So that's a sad point, and I dropped behind on villagers there. I mean, I'm behind on villagers anyway, because my town centre is still doing stuff, but I think there was some idle time there. Yeah. So I've now found this, and I think I'm aware that this is a Highland map, so which I put on random. So there's only one crossing point, which is fairly important to know, especially against the computer. There's obviously the chance for transport ships to come into play, but I tend to find the computer doesn't use them so much. I have seen them use them on islands, so it's certainly not idle villagers here. That's not great to show off, is it? What am I doing? Oh, I think I'm doing something with my scout. That's my excuse. There we go, I've got a couple of them doing things. Yeah, so the computer doesn't often use transport ships, even though they can. The AI is capable of doing so. It just doesn't. Who knew? Yeah, so slowly building up here. I am playing. I've been migrating faction for a while. I was in Saracens for a bit, but they're not quite. Well, I like them. I like their archer bonus against buildings, and I know a lot of people will lament that. But in the feudal age, when you get archers, they've got +2 attack against buildings, which makes them quite good for raiding and actually destroying things like houses and farms, which are a nuisance to destroy early. I am not quick enough to raid computers, though, and I'm often not great at scouting. So yeah, I've shifted around a bit, and I've picked up the Mongols this time. I had a brief flirtation with Teutons, because I like Keshiks. I like the principle. I'm not sure if they're effective, but I like the principle. So I had a go at them. I like horse archers too. I like that versatility and movement. But Mongol horse archers fire faster, and I believe, well, I now know that Mangudai are a horse archer unique unit, which are quite good. Better than horse archers at any rate. And if you can give me a horse archer who's better than horse archers, I'm not going to complain. They also get step lancers from the stable, which are interesting. They're like cheaper, less good knights, but they're better at raiding because they're faster and have a range of 1 on their attacks, which means you can get more to huddle around a building faster. And they can chase villagers with greater ability. Oh, I think, yeah, so they hit the feudal, that's quite nice. I'm getting attacked over here by an alligator, but I've got looms, so that's okay. As a 1-on-1, I can take that hit. She's only scouting here to make sure you can't go through. I've got these house walls up, so the house wall, because as houses go through the ages, they get tougher, whereas palisade walls do not. And they benefit from a variety of upgrades that I don't really want to spend on palisade walls. I've got one there because it's smaller. I've got a couple here just to double layer them. And this is an idle peasant, sorry about that. Got my barracks up, so I use my buildings as like in a wall, which is a tactic I picked up online, but it helps. That is an adventurous alligator, look at him, came all the way from over there. Thanks, Gaia, and he got bored earlier, so that's the second peasant I've lost. But yeah, it's a tactic I picked up from watching a couple of replays online. It also means that your wall does something when you build it, because you get pop out of it, little military things. There's my archery range. I like archers, as I said, so I like getting them out. I've also learnt the value of a couple of early spears and archers, especially at choke points or places you're likely to be attacked. So getting them out early is still valuable, even if you're not raiding. It's just nice anti-raid defense against people, and it's nice to stem the tide of the computer's flood of units. So I'm up to 21 villagers now, versus a mighty... No, I'm up to 21 units, 20 villagers, versus a mighty 30 for the computer. Same pop cap at the moment, but he's using it much more efficiently than I am. Purely on villagers. Like, it's impressive. But there's nothing you can really do about it as a human, apart from get almost as good. So blacksmith out, always important. A lot of new players don't build the blacksmith because they're quite small upgrades, but that means that people who build a blacksmith and get the upgrades are winning one-on-one fights against people who don't. And it means that if you don't get a blacksmith, you're going to lose those fights, so you're going to lose those trades. So it is very important, and it's important to know what upgrades you want from it as well, and target them first. So I've got a spear ready, I've got an archer ready, but I don't think I want to send them out by themselves. I think I hadn't quite figured out that this was the choke point. I didn't know where to send them to patrol against early probing attacks at this point. So happily in feudal, got a few on gold. Gonna need that if I'm going horse archers and step cavalry. Got quite a lot on wood. And I'm not very good at managing my resource line between wood and food. I've only got 6 on food at the moment, but I've got quite a lot of food because I'm not rushing out military units. I'm building a couple of tactical ones. So I guess I can, get away with that, right? Nothing on stone until then when I just mentioned it. I think I've built a tower over here. Yeah, because it was originally where I was going to let the computer in. A tactic known as funneling by others, where you let them in through one specific route. And then you can protect that route quite powerfully. Didn't need to do that because I can funnel across here. Although computers build navy very successfully, so I don't want to risk that happening. I also try not to build near the river for that reason with anything that's not defensive. Mark it up to complete that funnel point there. The market is quite good for walling because it's such a large building. And even if you just slap it a couple of times with a peasant, it gets enough life that it can ward off a couple of attacks. You'll see that a lot if you watch online games. So here we go, I've got my patrol going on. And this spearman I think dies because I forget to put him on defensive stance. Tell me? No, well he's not on defensive stance, so he's like, I'm going to take that scout. And then you go, I'm going to take this house. This is the problem with patrolling on offensive stance. Or just leaving your dudes on offensive stance. Because now he's like, I'm going to take that villager. And of course he can't because he's a spearman. And he gets gunned down brutally. But it's alright because I've got another one. Got a couple of archers. They're going over to this choke point here just to patrol it and keep myself safe. Walling up over here. Got some houses. Keeps my pop cap high. Building some military units to keep that front line picket well fueled. I mean, it should be noted here that these might seem redundant, but if this breaks, then I've got a full back position by having them funnel through there. So, that's still tactical. Lots of idle peasants because I run out of, whatchamacallits, berries. But hey ho, get the farms out, they're idle for a few seconds. And then I chuck a couple over on wood because I run out of wood to build farms. Not a great transition, you should try to phase that a little bit more. So you take them off berries or put them on like straggler trees around the town hall, so they're doing something while waiting for wood for farms. But oh hey, they're already going into Castle Age. Blam. I am not. I'm doing nothing at this point, not even building villagers. Building some archers, building some skirmishers. Normally my raiding force is a couple of archers and some skirmishers, just to go over and try to take out a couple of peasants, but I'm not quick enough here against the computer, especially because I can see he's gone into Castle Age. So I decided just to chuck him into that defensive picket, which I think I was committed to anyway at this juncture. Not many military units, realistically. I mean, comparably, I've got 10 to his 1 though, so I'm in a good position to resist any probing attacks. We're up to 5 on gold. Loads on wood. I don't really want to be mining this wood line, so I do move these villagers here off wood over to here in a moment, because I don't want to breach this defensive position, especially if I remember to put something there. I think that comes later, but I'm pretty convinced it does happen. Getting handcart, maybe not the best time. I still need to be booming into villagers. You don't really want to be getting, apart from Loom in the Dark Age, you don't want to be getting Town Hall researchers outside of Castle Age, because once you've got additional town centres, you can still be keeping your villager production up. And I'm saying this is me playing and I'm making that mistake, so it's easy to do in game, where you think handcart, that's good, it's only good, but like it's not quite as good as building another villager. I got some on stone, looking to get some more castles and fortifications, and looking to get those extra town centres. Castles, obviously, quite a good fortification, very nice choke point. I want to put a couple down, so I'm blocking it and causing problems, and to stop encroachment, just to back up these boys and girls when they need to get defensive. It's now 43 villagers to 30. Computer still hasn't built additional military units, whereas I'm pounding some out. So if I go over there now, I could actually get away with some raids, but their town centre is so close to where I'd be raiding, I'd have to be a little tactical about it. So maybe I could have sent those archers and those skirmishers across with a little more certainty. But you never know. There we go, getting the house wall up again. Not getting close to housed, but keeping up the house count. It's never a bad thing. Get my farms running up. I'm now up to 10 on food. Got quite a lot of food. I can almost go to Castle Age. I think I'm madly hammering the Z key. There we go. I was going into Castle Age. That's another good tip. Learn some shortcuts. And in Definitive Edition, which is what I'm playing here, when you click on something, I can't show you, but like it's done in order for QWER, ASDF, and ZXCV for where they're positioned within this window. So they're all the same depending on their position, and that's from building orders to building types to attack stances and things like that. So the hotkeys are very nicely arranged. Now, I'm not building any more military units at the moment. I feel like I should, but I'm not. So, what can I say? Lots of villagers from the computer now. They've got multiple town centres, so they can produce it. And we're seeing a knight there in their build order. And that's, I think, is a priest to go and snatch those relics. Computers like doing that. I like doing that. I'm building a couple of stables here because I do want to go into step lancers. They're great for raiding. I should have got them up earlier, I think. Yeah, they should have been out in the feudal age, really, if I wanted to raid. But evidently I didn't want to raid that much. I'd rather get this defensive picket up. So now I'm fully walled. Question mark. Yeah, fully walled. I've walled down here rather than up here because this wood line is my target. So I'm going to be trying to get all of that. And I don't want to be having to rebuild the stuff later. That's my scout. Heroically causing problems. Hit the Castle Age. Don't know where these guys are going. Oh, they might have been. That might have been the point where I was deciding do I raid or not. But now I'm in the Castle Age. There's no real point. Now these are the military units I've got. So I think So I get fletching because I want that. I get the cavalry armour thing because I'm going into horse archers of some description. And it's going to benefit my step lancers too, if and when I build them. So now the computer does a little probe just to find out what's going on over this side of the river. I'm ready to meet him, kill a knight, kill a preacher, kill another knight. I'm going to get a third knight. There's quite a lot of good trade in this gold, but my lone pikeman here, like a lone pikeman can do so much, backs off. So the cavalry suddenly, several pikemen actually, but they're not there for their bonus damage against cavalry. And these are Mangadai. They're Arambai. They're pretty damn good. Long ranged, inaccurate, but high damage, and they do melee damage. So, like, Pierce Armour does nothing. They're expensive, but they're good. And now my picket is gone. So I sort of panic a little bit. I'm building camels, because they're good against knights. And they're cheaper gold-wise. So, that's nice. Get a couple of them out. An advantage of the Mongol civs that you've got quite a variety of cav options. So yeah, his scouts coming in. But now the only way into my base is through here, so I can set my camels to patrol there. Pretty confident. A little bit sheet versus infantry, but hey ho. That's my scout bravely exploring still. He's now an auto scout because I know where the computer is, and if he keeps moving past this fairly frequented area, I'm going to get scouting information. I know there's this castle, so I can't really push in because it's quite a commanding view. Unless I've got a fair chunk of units you can just walk past. I think this is where Brave Scout number 67,484,000 dies. Yeah, bye. On to the next one for next game. And now my military is reduced to those 4 camels, but their military is only 3 units as well, so it's not so bad. Their population is 77 though, because despite being in the Castle Age, I've got a second town centre up. It's producing vills, but not at a particularly fast rate. I've only got the 2 town centres, when the computer has probably got at least 3. So we've got 1 up there, 1 here, and 1 there, yeah, 3 to churn out those peasants and just really keep pumping them out. It's past the stage where I can convincingly raid because of that castle, unless I send like maybe a half a dozen step lancers up here to try to take out these peasants, slow the food production, but because he's got these other farms, he doesn't stop them, and they're very well spaced so that he can't really threaten all of them at once, whereas these 2 are a bit, well, they're alright I guess. And now the computer hits the Imperial Age and I start to worry. I might not be beating the hard computer here. The Imperial Age is a big advantage. I'm still trying to gather forces and things. So how do I cope with that? What is it that I do to respond? The computer's also building military units down here, and I've still got my 4 camels. There's only so much you can do. You've got to chug along and do whatever you can. Just to show the Mongols' bonuses, actually, while we're waiting. Their cavalry archers fire 20% faster. Don't know if that affects Mangadai, but they seem pretty fast anyway. Your light cavalry hussars and steppe lancers, 30% extra hit points, which is nice. And your hunters work 40% faster, which is good in the early game. You also get the team bonus, where your scout line gets +2 line of sight, which is really important early on and helps you find the sheep earlier and scout just a bit better, a bit more safely when you're trying to find their town centre. Unique text, nomads, lost houses do not decrease population headroom. That's quite nice. Like, one of the things I like doing against human players is killing houses as part of a raiding objective, because you can do it and people often let houses go down without responding to it. But it does have pop cap implications, especially at the mid-tier level that I play at. So that stops that. I don't know how often other players do it, but it's quite nice. And then drill. Siege workshop units move 50% faster. That's a big buff. It means your siege can get places that faster that other people's can't, and you can maintain the pressure with it, which is great, except I'm rubbish at playing with siege, so it's something I need to get better at as a player, especially with mangonels and onagers. So now we're seeing here my 3 villagers come forward, because we're looking to get... Is that building a preacher? Yeah, it is, to snatch these relics, although they're fairly safe. These 3 villagers are going to get a castle down at this choke point. Now, if the computer had been able to see that, if I can pause it, if the computer had been able to see it, yeah, so they can't see it here, which is quite nice for me. They have seen the peasants go forwards for it, but I don't know if the AI registers that as a possible threat. A human player might go along to have a look at what's there. I've only got those 4 camels. Computer's only got 10 military units. I think it's always worth checking to see what peasants are doing when they come forward. It's always a risk, but it's always also a threat. And in this case, getting a castle up here, it's quite a powerful position if I can keep it up. They do already have a castle, they are already in Imperial Age, so they can build trebuchets, whereas I can't in the Castle Age. So I guess I just have to start hoping. Now I'm starting to rebuild my military. He says, yeah, a couple more archers, nothing else from there, but I like my archers. Here comes an archery range, and now the computer can see this. Well, I think the computer can see that. No, they can't, so they're building the archery range blind, not knowing that I've got my castle going up there, which is great for me. This crossbowman kind of fiddles around because I told him to go up there. That was an accident. Collecting my relics, getting that gold income. Normally I like to do it a bit quicker than I managed this game. I forgot about it, and I completely forgot about the university as well. I am apparently a man of God before I'm a man of science in Age of Empires. But that's because I value the gold from relics. Slaughter that peasant. Come on, guys. This is the problem with camels. They're great against cavalry, a great counter-cavalry unit, but they've only got the 6 base attack, so they're not, and I haven't upgraded it because I'm not planning at this stage to go. I want to go into Mangudai first, or Horse Archers first. And, yeah, so I haven't got the upgrade there. I'm prioritising the upgrade into... that's a lot of peasants coming forward. Yeah, I'm prioritising the upgrade into archer damage and cavalry toughness. Because I need to keep my... Well, I've got a lot of resources. I'm sitting on a lot of food and gold, so I should be doing something with that. Unfortunately, I need wood for my tactics, so some of those 22 dudes should be on wood, really. Camels come forward to deal with the siege, with the rams, because the castle can't. Any player who's watched their castle idly do nothing in the face of a ram rush know that it's bad. Getting some Mangudai out now. Again, they're not great against rams on the face of it, but they have some secret extra damage versus rams, which makes them better. Now my catchphrase of "kill the old man" coming out here. Too late. Lose a crossbowman. I think I lose more crossbowmen as a result, which is a shame. Got some step lancers out now, starting to churn out offensive units quite nicely. I can still be churning out more step lancers. That's a lot of knight, step lancer, camel resource that I could be spending, but I'm not. I think I'm a bit distracted by trying to keep my stuff up. Because here's a Rambai. I don't think they're a counter as such to my Mangudai, but they are effective combat unit against them. So it causes me some consternation. But it's alright. The Rambai do not have the best basic defences, like they're particularly weak to melee, but 19 attack power, that's a lot. It's going to kill my step lancer pretty quick, isn't it? But we're not seeing any upgrades from the computer here. We've got we've got the infantry upgrades, and we've got some of the archer upgrades, but not the cavalry ones, so those are Rambai. I mean, they don't need the offensive one maybe, but the defensive one can be super important. At this point, I'm confident my castle can take out most of this trash coming towards it with the archers behind, so I'm amassing units there. Back at base, not building any extra stables, not building any extra of these. Got some more people on stone because I'm looking to build a second castle. I've spent some of this money now, thankfully. Embarrassingly large amounts stocked up there. But it just goes to show you can make some mistakes. You don't have to play optimally to beat the computer on hard. I mean, it helps if you don't make mistakes. I'm not going to lie, but we'll see how it goes. Now, by comparison, I mean the computer's got probably at least 3 castles. At least 3 castles? Another town centre up there. No, only 2 castles at this stage, but they can churn out around by a fairly good rate. And they've got a ton of military buildings that can just help churn things out. They always do, and it's important to increase your production capability at the same rate of increasing your resource production, or resource gathering. And I'm not improving my production capability. Which is a flaw, but there's not. I mean, I wish I could do more about it, but I can't retrospectively, can I? I still don't know if I'm going to win, because this castle's taking a lot of damage from the sheer amount of trash. So I had garrisoned my Mangudai in there to keep them safe, and I'm using them here as a little bit of a mild defense force, trying not to let them die, and I fail there. Finally hit Imperial. I can't really counter-attack until I'm in Imperial, because I know there's this castle overwatching here. So just biding my time, perhaps. Creating some more villagers, keeping my fledgling Mangudai force safe, building some more, building them so they get auto-garrison in the castle to keep them safe rather than small numbers, which is important. Now, let's just slow this down and have a look at, like, this gold is free, but it's not much, but it's important. But I've still got this gold here. So I've got 2 relics, I've got some gold piles, I've got a lot of gold stocked up. I'm in a pretty good place resource-wise. Keeping my lumber camp close to the front of my wood line, so it's making headway. Still got a bit of stone in my base. I'm good for resources. I'm building a lot of camels there. which would be useful if they do mass knights, or even a Rambai. So let's go back to normal speed. Get my Mangadai up so they can make hit and run attacks. Are they elite? Not yet, but they've got 8 attack, 6 range, no defences. That's not great. There's the second castle going down. But unfortunately, like, this guy's threatening the peasants. And this castle's looking a bit worse for wear now. So I move my Mangadai forwards just to soak some of the ranged hits. Not optimal, but it's better than losing my castle. And it clears out a lot more trash because it brings their firepower to bear. And it's a substantial amount of firepower, really. Because there's 9 of them. So they can, like, one-shot a lot of ground units. I do send these peasants round to repair this, just to try to keep it standing. Getting conscription, always useful. Building the second castle will amplify my defensive firepower, split the attention of their offensive units, while also upgrading my production capability. So it's super important here to get that up while keeping this other castle standing. But I lose a peasant. I mean, another error, but hey, sue me. You can see the computer's just producing tons of trash. A couple of knights. Not upgrading those knights. I don't know if the Burmese get anything beyond knights. Frankly, if they don't, I'm glad. But the computer's not upgrading them. Got priests there. That's an elite skirmisher. Knights getting their upgrade for offense, but not defense now. Mangadai, Arambai, interestingly, don't get the cavalry offense upgrade, which I didn't know, but they do get the armour upgrade. So that must be a different bonus. These are now elite Mangadai, so they've got 8 attack. I've got my offensive upgrade now, so they've got a lot more range as well as damage. Got both castles up. It's looking pretty good. Back at base, like, I'm still got too many on food, really. I should shove some of them on wood just because I'm building a Rambai, which cost wood and gold. Not a Rambai, God. Mangadai, because they cost wood and gold. But I think I'm spending that money on camels still, maybe a couple more. It's not great, but it's going up. I'm getting a lot of upgrades. I'm stabilising. That's what I'm doing here. Those peasants have repaired the castle, so they're backing off. Out of line of fire before I shamelessly lose more to the computer's continual stream of random stuff coming into my base. What I could do here is, with a little more stone, build a couple of towers behind the castles just to help give them some added firepower against stuff that gets close. Especially if I've not got murder holes. Don't know if I can check that anyway. But, yeah, this is a pretty static fight. I can't raid because of this. I could build a dock and then hop over the way and drop things off. But I need my attack force. Like, this is not a great raiding force. Camels are not great at raiding. And they're not even heavy camel riders. So, like, their stats are a bit lackluster. Especially for raiding. And I need the Mangadai here to help defend my castles just for a little bit longer while I wait this out and try to hit a critical mass. I am in the Imperial Age though, so I could well start building. I'm getting siege engineers, so I can build a lot of siege, but it will probably be trebuchets because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a very good siege player. Got quite a few camels now, so they probably could raid, especially these more distant town centres. Like, just here, they could have raided this wood line, but now that castle's going up defensively, they could still raid those guys a bit. They could threaten these guys fishing. Definitely threaten this back lumber camp. So if I drop them off here, it would be nice. But I don't do that, because I'm still distracted with my tunnel vision on this funnel. But I've got the archery range now, which actually is good, because it means the castles are not just focused on that building. I've got all of the upgrades now. I've got chemistry, so my Mangadai are doing 12 damage at 7 range, which is pretty respectable. Still no armor upgrades for them, which is a shame. Oh, they don't benefit from the normal cavalry armour upgrades. Maybe they count as an archer. I'll have to keep that in mind. It'd be quite nice to be able... I thought I could streamline my blacksmith research into just 3, like the melee upgrade, the cavalry armour upgrade, and the archer damage upgrade. But it appears I will have to get the archer armour upgrade as well in future to keep those valuable Mangadai alive. Now we're seeing here the stream isn't quite enough with the distraction of the without the distraction of the archery range, and even knights aren't really making any headway. And by garrisoning these guys in there, I actually add to their firepower because they're an archer unit, so they do increase the number of arrows to like 6 and 5 respectively. So that's a useful trick you can do with any archer unit. It also works with peasants who count as having an attack of 5 for the purposes of that calculation. And now I start to get a little braver because I've got nearly a critical mass there. I'd say that's probably a critical mass. Just heard a little trebuchet noise, trebuchet cred, one in there and one in there. They don't actually assist because they have an attack stat of 1 when they're garrisoned. I think it's only archers and peasants that can do stuff. So, something interesting about to happen now, you'll be glad to hear. We've got my Mangadai coming in. They need to just clear some space. Oh, come on past me, that's not good. If they can just kind of patrol across here and clear some space to get those trebuchets down, my trebuchets with siege engineers can start pounding this castle from nearly double its range. There you go. I haven't put them on a whole ground stance yet, so they're at risk of getting over ambitious. Got to move them out of the way so I can get my trebuchets in range. But that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm covering the trebuchets with my powerful Mangadai horse archers. And you could do this with other horse archers, they just don't have quite the instant response. They take a little bit longer to fire their arrows than Mangadai. So other horse archer factions can do this. Quite enjoy doing it with Berbers, and Keshiks are a good replacement for steppe lancers, because while they're not quite as cheap, they're almost as good as a knight, and they also get gold while they fight, and that's nice for raiding peasants, because that counts as a fight, not against buildings, but against any other unit, including siege. They're nice for killing rams, they're nice for killing peasants, nice for killing monks, so like 5 or 6 of them, they're still going to, because that's like 200 gold, 5 of them, or maybe even more, maybe 250. But they're going to earn some of their gold back, and any gold income you can make off your unit is good, especially when it's comparable to the knight line. I think it's comparable to cavaliers, not quite as good as paladins, but let's be honest, nothing's really quite as good as paladins. They are very expensive buggers though to build. So here we can see the castle's gone down, I've safely protected my trebuchet, the stream of random shit that the computer throws out isn't enough to break through here, and really this requires a tactical response for the computer to break down. What I'm not doing is what I do against human players, which is focus on stone buildings and town centres and castles, maybe siege workshops because I'm exceptionally phobic of mangonels, which the computer could build here to some success to counter me. Mongols don't get access to the bombard cannon, I don't think. Let's check before I make that claim. Siege workshop, I've busted. Here it is, yeah, don't get access to the bombard cannon, so you can't spot remove mangonels quite as well as you can with that bombard cannon. And like archers are an actual clumpy unit, especially when they're at a choke point like this, so a couple of good mangonel hits could definitely really deter my success. I only got range 7, so that's the same as a mangonel. I'd have to respond, and the computer's got the micro to be able to deal with that. As it is though, they're not building mangonels. They have the siege workshops, but I think they just don't have the gold, possibly? Let's have a look. Yeah, they just don't have the gold. The computer operates on a very zero-sum economy, where they only save when they're definitely getting something, which is efficient to a certain extent, but when you're sacrificing all those units, it's not. So I'm coming across this river now. I'm freeing up this place so I can move these trebuchets forward to hit this town centre, which is my next objective. I'm hovering just outside, letting my critical mass do it. As I said, against a human player, I would, once I'd got rid of this forward castle down, I would have more directly moved into the town centre. Or if I had melee units, to be honest, or like a tanky unit against Pierce defences, but I don't. And I still don't have the archer upgrade for armour, so these guys are exceptionally vulnerable. Very glass cannony at the moment. So I'm coming in, I'm taking some opportunistic hits on villagers and things, and then pulling back out, still getting that hit and run going. More trebuchets now to accelerate it, but I'm staying very safe with my attack. I've removed all of these outside buildings so they can't produce, they can't contribute to pop, they can't distract my units when they're set to patrol. Really important. As you can see, these farms are taking a horrible beating because I just leave my Mangadai patrolling. Move them a little further forward than I think I need to, but that's so they can threaten the extra bit here. So they don't have to reset up again. It's more efficient to spend a little extra time moving a little bit further forward after you've secured the space with your trebuchets so they don't have to reset. They can't hit anything much, really, but it just means that, again, I'm clearing the way so my Mangadai don't get distracted by buildings like these 6 dudes here, who are now stuck attacking these because their patrol path took them just that little bit too close. So again, having to reset so I can hit this castle, but if I hit this castle I can hit everything in like that arc there. It's a very secure foothold I've got. Again, the computer doesn't build up a force, so you can, if you can manage to stabilise against their stream of stuff that they throw in, that's all you need to do, and they won't build up again for a long time. Again, fortunately, they didn't build siege for some unknown reason. And it might not look like I was playing against the hard AI, but let's not forget. And there we go, the computer abdicates there on very minimal resources. So let's not forget this castle almost went down. My initial picket line did, and if the computer had pressed the attack there, I would have gone down, but they didn't really have anything to do it with. I think it was maybe a defensive move, because that was a bit far forwards for the computer's liking. Couldn't get any scouting done while it was there either, so that limited the site, which might affect the AI. Yeah, and then this castle nearly went down later on. I managed to save it. I lost a lot of Mangadai trying to preserve it, but it's worth it to keep the castle up. Didn't see any more rams. I think the computer must have run out of gold fairly quickly, and because it doesn't save, it prefers to stream those units in. It doesn't have the resources to spend at the market until you destroy those production capabilities. So the strength of the computer, that macro ability, is also a weakness. Getting the second castle up really secured my foothold here, and it's again something very... I'm lucky that there was that foothold, but you have to identify it and you have to move on. And like I said earlier, before I identified it, I was making a funnel here that would be difficult for the computer to breach in the same way as this one is here. Sure, the computer could have gone elsewhere, but it doesn't. Once the computer finds a way into a base, it tends to be pretty happy with it, even if it's not optimal, whereas human players will definitely go around the side. So this tactical funneling probably wouldn't work. A lot of human players, especially when they've got sea power. There was a dock here, and they've got tons of space. I have no navy. I'm a terrible navy player. Like I said earlier, if there's water, I'm pretty happy to steer clear of it and cede it because I don't mind losing the potential benefit of the resources. That, I think, speaks more about the level of skill of my playgroup and the other people I play online, because they don't capitalise on water in the same way that a more experienced player might. Obviously, that changes on islands or probably even a coastal map. I might... No, coastal, that's a lie. That's a lie. Sorry, everyone. On islands, definitely I'll build a navy because that's how you win. On coastal, I just build inland and let navy be navy. Not seeing many transport ship ploys because they're always risky, especially if they get caught out. And yeah, I suppose 20 knights getting into a base in the Imperial Age is going to mess it up royally. But hey ho. So that is a tactic I could have done. To, if it was a human player, just get a couple of docks, like one up here and then one down here, and just get a couple of even just like 4 or 5 Mangadai coming over, because they've got such a high attack, like 12 attack, 5 of them is 60 damage a shot. Villagers have 40 life and a little bit of armor and stuff, but it's not enough really to stop 5 or 6. Yeah, I've upped that number now from 4 to 5. 5 to 6 Mangudai from one-shotting them. They're very accurate, and then you've got Thumb Ring for faster firing and increased accuracy. It's pretty good as a raiding force, so I could have helped myself against the human player by distracting them, helped myself against the computer by denying them resources, which is pretty key normally. Here the computer ran out of gold, I think. I mean, look, it's just, those are all buildings that it's carved out, but there was a wood line here, you can see from the darker ground. Was there? No, that was stone. That's that darker ground, stone or gold. You can see it's harvesting out these wood lines, harvesting out back wood lines, which is obviously what you want to do. This is a lot of open space that I feel might have been a forest, but there's nothing to prove that, like lumber camps or things, and the computer doesn't delete them, so we'll never know. What could I have done better? Micro my Mangudai a little bit better, built some more defences to help defend here. The raids across the way would have been nice, hit me more objectives. I mean, I finished with a kill death of 527 to 43. 527, not that impressive really if you're fighting a computer player due to the sheer amount of units they churn out, but the 43 deaths is pretty good, because I've had some games against the hard computer where you have to churn out tons of units to try to take him out, because it becomes a war of attrition, which you can win a little bit better than the computer, because you can save up for large chunks of army rather than streaming them in, and like 20 defensive crossbowmen or musketeers will see off many attacks that don't have rams. I could have sent some rams in with the Mangudai, because even against castles and town centres they're exceptionally good, and they would cover my Mangudai a bit, but I'm a terrible siege player, because I didn't do that. So yeah, that is me defeating the hard AI. It looked like a pretty easy game, but sometimes you get those. You just have to be assertive with your map ornaments. You have to identify choke points like this one, or you have to make them like this one, because if I'd had these two castles, one here and one here, the castles would have had time to fire in. Sure, they're raised if they attack from there, but there's not much I can do about it. So I could have had that defensive ring. I've got a fairly nice resource base, I've got build space, still only 2/3 of the way through that wood line, and then I can pick this one up. I can start working on this one. They're only small, I have started working on this one, but I can replace the wall quite easily. And then these forward ones I can do at risk later on, probably starting over here with this larger chunk, or even just putting a town centre out. So plenty of options for me there defensively, even if I hadn't had that river crossing point. And I think it would have gone much the same way. I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you enjoyed my commentary, and yeah, let me know if you want me to try a specific faction or a specific map, and I will do it again. But what I'm hoping to do, as I said before, is get more exciting multiplayer games, so either player versus player, or players versus computers, because in larger numbers the computer's joint micro is really difficult to overcome, even at the lower difficulties. So if you've got 2 players, you can individually take a standard computer one-on-one. Well, that's not fair. If you've got 3 players, you can individually take a standard computer one-on-one. It might be that they can't win a 3v3, because the computer's micro and the focused attack they will do, which is tactically the best idea, can overcome a player who would otherwise win one-on-one in that scenario. So hopefully we'll get a couple more interesting things going on, and it won't just be a case of throwing units blindly, which I'm glad I didn't have to do this game. So thank you very much for watching. Good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time of day you're viewing this, and I hope you tune in next time. Thank you very much.